I was 14 when I first got to know Jesus, and I hadn't particularly had anything to do with him in the past. I hadn't grown up in a Christian family, and I didn't know many people who were believers. And to be honest, by 14, I'd pretty much decided that I was an atheist. I was going to be an angry young woman. I couldn't really see the point in believing in God. It didn't seem to make any difference to anybody I knew. And unfortunately, that left me feeling a little bit purposeless. Aged 14 already, I was starting to think, I don't really get the point in my life. I don't really see what I'm here for. And that left me feeling pretty bleak on occasions. No really close friends. Often felt like I was a little bit of an outsider. And to be honest, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. And there were times where I wasn't even sure I wanted to carry on with it. I definitely decided that there couldn't be a God. There was far too much sadness and brokenness in the world. I'd lost my grandma, who I deeply loved. I'd lost a friend at school. I was going out with somebody whose mum was going through all kinds of difficult things. And I just thought, how can there be a God in the midst of all of this mess? Fast forward to somewhere in the middle of year 10, May time, I think. So I must have been just gone 14. And a mission came to my school and said, would you like to come to an evening where there is a youth celebration? And I thought, to be honest, anything that gets me out of my tiny, quiet little village where I live. So I went along to the nearby town, and there was a presentation that evening about Jesus. And I remember feeling ever so slightly aggrieved that I'd signed up for something that wasn't anything I believed in. But I thought, you know what, it's an evening out, I'll give it a go. And what they did that evening was to explain just how much God loved me. And it sounds really trite. I wouldn't want to go to an evening now where all I heard was that just God loves you. I want some meat in there. But that evening made all the difference for me. They explained that there was something called sin, which as far as I was concerned was a medieval word and I wasn't interested, but that it was just the things you do and the attitudes you have that stop you from being a friend with God. And God really wanted to be my friend. He wanted to have me in his family. And suddenly I wasn't an outsider anymore. I was somebody who God wanted. And I cannot explain exactly how it happened, but there was just a moment that evening where I thought, I'm not wholly convinced. I don't have any proof that this is true, but if it is, I want in. I want to be part of this. I don't want to be an outsider looking in, wishing I'd tried something out. I want to be a part of this. And as a youth leader now, I know that you should not appeal to the emotions of teenagers. But that evening they did show a video of what it was like when Jesus was crucified. And there was something very powerful about that, very powerful about the idea that this man had gone through something that meant that I could be friends with God. And at that point I had absolutely no idea how that happened. I didn't really get that Jesus being punished meant I could be forgiven. I didn't understand how it all worked, but there was something in me that made me go, there must be something true to this. So I went down to the front and I asked somebody to pray with me, and they prayed, and I gave my life over to God. I said, if you want me to be your friend, if you're out there, I'm in. I'm willing to give it a go. And since then, I've grown, obviously. I've learned more. I now understand a little bit more, although not fully, the relationship between what I saw on that video about Jesus being punished and how that sets me free from everything I've ever done and thought wrong. I get that more now than I did then. And I love the fact that God still accepted me, even though I hadn't necessarily got it all going on up there. I didn't understand it all. But he still loved me and he still wanted me to be a part of his family. And I finally found, and this sounds ridiculous, I know, the reasons for my existence. Age 14, when I was really purposeless, I didn't understand what I was there for. Well, now I kind of do. And there's an amazing verse in the book, in the Bible, called Ephesians. And it says, you didn't save yourselves. This was a gift from God. And that mattered to me because it wasn't my efforts trying to get to know God. It was him reaching down and saying, Becki, I love you. God's made us what we are in Jesus. God's made us to do good works. There's my purpose. I have something in my life that's worth living for. God's made us to do good works, and he planned them in advance for us to live our lives doing. So do I know what I'm going to be doing next month? No, or next year? I don't have a career plan even necessarily, and I'm 44, but I do know that God has a purpose, and it's to do the works that he's called me for, and he had them nailed down before I was even born. And that to me is the best reason for living.
Thank you for watching that, and I want to invite you to try church online this coming Sunday, on Sunday the 4th of April. And you can find the link by going to our website, yorkcommunitychurch.co.uk/316, and that will have all the links for all the videos, and of course my special invitation to see you this Sunday.